We have started to record a course summary for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session, scheduled before final grades are due in the office of the registrar. That deadline is Monday, July 1st at 10 a.m. This bonus session is designed to do two things. Leftover projects a place to be examined in detail, whether they be leftover informative or persuasive, wildcard presentations, or self-evaluation speech critiques, but also a chance to take the 50,000-foot perspective on the improvement that you've made in content, delivery, visuals, all of the elements that we have talked about over the past 5 weeks. When you look at my YouTube channel, you will see virtually everything that has been done. 19 class sessions that are available on the screen right now. I have the videos up instead of the home page because the icons are larger. You can see not only the 19 class sessions when I scroll down, but also on Blackboard Ultra, I had an introductory video, which is called a course overview. You can also see examples from your classmates of wildcard speeches, persuasive speeches, informative speeches, and demonstrative presentations. And then when we scroll down just above my head, the course overview. It's a lot of content in a relatively short period of time, but as I scroll to the top, I think something that all of you need to remember, and I have reinforced this time after time since we began in late May. As I go to my homepage on YouTube, you always need to consider the importance of video as a tool for improvement in public speaking. So many of you in your respective academic careers or going on to your professional lives after graduation or graduate school are going to be giving verbal presentations, whether online, such as what we're doing now, or in a face-to-face circumstance. The reason, as you know, that we go into great detail with these self-evaluation speech critiques is that analytical perspective that you may not necessarily think about otherwise. How are you being perceived by others? But most importantly, how do you perceive yourself? We have looked at all of your speeches on video at least twice, once in real time, and then breaking them down a second time to look at your improvement with being extemporaneous, from where the conversationality will flow, your design consistency with the slides, what works best as a storyteller with text, images, interactivity to help you remain extemporaneous and knowledgeable and thoughtful and likable and authoritative as a speaker. One of the places that you can go once the class is officially over is my playlist. I'm waiting for it to get ready. These are in chronological order. I have tons of representative samples of projects through the years, but as far as you are concerned, whenever I get down right here to demonstrative speeches, notice that I have them categorized by the term in which they were taught in chronological order, which means in just a moment, you are going to see both from Marilyn and Emma, summer 24 demonstrative speeches, DIY slime and handmade felty. Then when we go through the informative speeches, scrolling down, eventually you will see again their presentations on mental health matters and occupational therapy, persuasive speeches, going through the years, on virtual reality in education and why you should donate blood. Finally, of the 8 speeches from this class, 2 each from each of the 4, we eventually get down to panic attacks, that's Marilyn, and why should animal testing be banned, that's Emma. 2 years ago during the summer, 19 sessions. 1 year ago, 19 sessions. It's a little bit different in 2024 because not only do we have the course overview, not only do we have the 19 course sessions, but we will add the summary after we're concluded here. But let's go ahead with some of those leftover projects. I have a persuasive speech, I have 2 wildcard speeches, and I have 1 self-evaluation speech critique. We will begin our course summary for the basic public speaking course with Mariah. We will put her tab on the screen. The transcript above my head, which we will get back to in just a moment. Her persuasive speech, for the record, and as you know, I believe in recording things for posterity, why you should grow a garden. This is Mariah's persuasive presentation.
Hi, so today I'm going to be talking to you all about why you should grow a garden. Let's talk about minimum wage. The minimum wage in Arkansas is $11 an hour. So while that is more than some places, if you do the math, that is barely enough for one person to live on. You have things like rent, car payments, car insurance, medical insurance, you have your phone bills, groceries, utilities, and I'm sure you'll have other payments. I personally make around $100 to $200 a week, usually more around $100 to $120, $200 only if I've worked a lot. Let's talk now about food prices. On average, I spend about $100 a week on groceries. This includes vegetables, fruits, meats, breads, and other things. This is about how much it costs for a 2-person household, but this does not take account the occasional times when I have to buy shampoo, deodorant, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, hairbrushes, just random things that every now and then you need, but you don't take account to your weekly food budget. Everyone has different dietary needs. However, everyone needs a good balance of vegetables, fibers, proteins, and fats, but this can get expensive, especially if you start looking into organics, because if you really look into it, processed foods are pretty bad for you, and they have a lot of things in them that you don't even know what they are. And I have a thing where if you can't pronounce the name of something you're eating, you probably shouldn't be eating it. It's not something I put into practice because I eat things like instant noodles all the time. But if you want to be more health conscious, then you start looking into organic things. So when you have a budget of $100 a week and you need to restock meat, chicken costs around $15 to $20 and beef the same. Now I have to buy meat every 2 weeks, which means every 2 weeks I'm spending about half of my budget just on meat, which seems a little ridiculous, especially when you start looking into all the other things you need to get to survive. Now let's look into garden production. I personally have a garden and it is the best thing I've ever done. Now depending on how much you plant and how good you take care of it, gardens can produce hundreds of vegetables per season, and you can plant multiple different gardens and plants at different times. You can have a fall garden, summer garden, and spring garden, as some plants grow during different times of the year. And you can plant just a few basic fruits and vegetables such as bell peppers, tomatoes, strawberries. You can plant blackberries, zucchinis, cucumbers, and those are very versatile things that you can use in many different ways. Now, not only does this benefit your wallet, which trust me, it does, but it's also good for your diet. The more vegetables that you have in your diet, the better that it is for you, because everybody needs those things. And it also helps you have a sense of responsibility, because having a garden takes a lot of work and effort. You have to make sure you water it, plant it, and it also helps with exercising, because you have to till up the land to get it prepared to even plant to begin with. You have to get the weeds out, you have to plant all the seeds, you have to mark everything. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of consistency. But you will save a decent amount of money. Depending on how much you spent on vegetables and fruit to begin with, you can save a decent amount of money. Now, with these tomatoes and onions, which you can also grow, you can make salsa, you can freeze things to save for later. Goodness. I personally have a surplus of bell peppers. So what I do, because I use them a lot, is I chop them up, I put them in bags, and I'm freezing them. That way I have some for over the winter, so I don't have to worry about buying any. And then I use some of my fresh ones during my recipes when I need them. Now, if you want to become more self-sufficient, there are several things you can do, such as baking bread, making jelly, or even making your own butter. Baking bread is something I thoroughly enjoy, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, that's why I think you should grow a garden. Thank you for listening. I hope you all have a great day.
Very good job. Thank you, Mariah. Artificial intelligence has already done it for me. Now let's do this. All of you know the routine. It will be different than session 19 when we get to wildcard speeches. You'll recall that with Emma and with Marilyn, we were watching their speeches twice in their entirety. That's not going to happen here in the course summary. What I want us to do is to think about introductions, conclusions, storytelling, closed captioning. So we're going to listen and watch the first 90 seconds of her speech with closed captioning on, following the transcript above my head, and checking out her ability to be extemporaneous, conversational, eye contact, and the overall improvement. Remember what I've been talking about recently, the ease that you have on camera. I'm an old pro. I feel very comfortable with this, with, of course, an emphasis on old. Be nice. Here is the first 90 seconds with the audio up of Mariah's speech.
Hi. So today I'm going to be talking to you all about why you should grow a garden. Let's talk about minimum wage. The minimum wage in Arkansas is $11 an hour. So while that is more than some places, if you do the math, that is barely enough for one person to live on. You have things like rent, car payments, car insurance, medical insurance, you have your phone bills, groceries, utilities, and I'm sure you'll have other payments. I personally make around $100 to $200 a week, usually more around $1 to $120. $200's only if I've worked a lot. Let's talk now about food prices. On average, I spend about $100 a week on groceries. This includes vegetables, fruits, meats, breads, and other things. This is about how much it costs for a two-person household, but this does not take account the occasional times when I have to buy shampoo, deodorant, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, hairbrushes, just random things that every now and then you need, but you don't take account to your weekly food budget. Everyone has different dietary needs. However, everyone needs a good balance of vegetables, fibers, proteins, and fats, but this can get expensive, especially if you start looking into organics, because if you really look into it, processed.
As we close in on the first 90 minutes, or I should say 90 seconds of her presentation, what do you notice? Look at the webcam. She is very comfortable on camera. You can tell that she's practiced. She will do this on occasion, but for the most part, does she come across as a thoughtful, professional speaker? And the answer is yes. We will leave the closed captioning on and get into roughly the last 90 seconds of her remarks, keeping in mind that her timer on Loom is going backwards from 5 minutes. We've seen that with examples shown in previous courses. Bring the audio back up. Let's listen to her conclusion with closed captioning and the transcript.
Does benefit your wallet, which, trust me, it does. But it's also good for your diet. The more vegetables that you have in your diet, the better that it is for you, because everybody needs those things. And it also helps you have a sense of responsibility, because having a garden takes a lot of work and effort. You have to make sure you water it, plant it, and it also helps with exercising, because you have to till up the land to get it prepared to even plant to begin with. You have to get the weeds out, you have to plant all the seeds, you have to mark everything. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of consistency. But you will save a decent amount of money. Depending on how much you spent on vegetables and fruit to begin with, you can save a decent amount of money. Now, with these tomatoes and onions, which you can also grow, you can make salsa, you can freeze things to save for later. Goodness. I personally have a surplus of bell peppers. So what I do, because I use them a lot, is I chop them up, I put them in bags, and I'm freezing them. That way I have some for over the winter, so I don't have to worry about buying any. And then I use some of my fresh ones during my recipes when I need them. Now, if you want to become more self-sufficient, there are several things you can do, such as baking bread, making jelly, or even making your own butter. Baking bread is something I thoroughly enjoy, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, that's why I think you should grow a garden. Thank you for listening. I hope you all have a great day.
Does she look nervous? No. And sometimes, no matter what, you just have to press on. So, for instance, I thought I felt an insect on my neck, so you saw me do this. Occasionally, I will get a little bit self-conscious because I'm still learning the technology and I'm not sure when the Loom camera is going to go off. So I have to be very careful. You'll notice in her case, she's very good at, for the most part, staying in the center of the webcam. It's well lit. Nothing calls attention to herself. But what I really like is the improvement that she and all of you have made. Because, as you know, because I said this during the course overview video, first for Blackboard Ultra, now available on my YouTube channel, you grew up with social media. So being on camera, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, FaceTime, it's not that big a deal. Now you weaponize that to your advantage. Does she sound persuasive? Absolutely. Let's check out her storytelling structure with the design consistency of her slides. Why you should grow a garden? Minimum wage, food prices, diet. As you go through this, remember, sometimes you will officially have bullet points or you'll have short items like this with headlines, with visuals, whatever assists your ability to be extemporaneous. Garden production. Benefits. Again, she has a very pleasant persona on camera. Keeping in mind from the SAU speech critique, one of the areas of delivery is persona. Are you authentic? And she certainly is. Then we move on to money saved and more. And it looks like that is her title for the final slide. And let's see, get her to smile. So Mariah did a very good job trying to persuade us on her subject, why you should grow a garden. Certainly the financial and health benefits are two big factors that were in her favor. Now we transition to wildcard speeches. And Ms. Thompson will start us off. She's going the route of a little bit informing, a little bit persuading, and she is discussing the history of R&B. So without any further ado, let's take a look.
Hi everyone, my name is Shakira Thompson. Presentation over the history of R&B. My favorite genre is R&B. It's my favorite station to listen to in general, whether it's old school. And I really don't like new school R&B, but old school R&B is my go-to, and I love to sit in the car or go on car rides and listen to it. Or I just like to sit there with my AirPods in and listen to it. And if I have my AirPods in, most likely I'm going to be listening to some kind of R&B. So, what does R&B stand for? R&B stands for rhythm and blues, and it was originally called race music, which is African American music that they used to send signals to each other back in the slave times, whether they were running away or just working. So, where did R&B come from? R&B originated from culture gospel music, and it's a combination of jazz, blues, and gospel. So, how R&B started? Louis Jordan, which is him up there, he is the one that started the rising of R&B by being a band leader and a saxophonist. And he composed the 1944 hit song "Is You or Is You Ain't My Baby." This is the most first popular R&B song that was released, and the one that's well known and that everybody kind of remembers and stuff. And now we have different genres of R&B. This is not all the genres of R&B. We have like plenty more, but these are kind of the main ones: R&B hip hop, R&B funk, R&B jazz, which is the one that started R&B, classic R&B, and Latin R&B. Like I said, it's some that's not listed on here, like old school R&B and new school R&B, but that really is more so what year it is, because the old school R&B that we listen to and the new school R&B, once the new generation comes, our music, the new school R&B, is going to be old school R&B to them. So, why is R&B so important to the Black culture? R&B can strongly encourage mood, self-esteem, and commitment. R&B helps spread African American culture and popularize the idea of racial integration on the airwaves and during the slavery time period. Now, most African American people are the ones that listen to R&B, and some people like it because it encourages their mood. They like the blues. That's the main one that people like to listen to, and it just makes them feel better. And some R&B songs have stories in them that people can relate to, and that's why R&B is one of the most popular genre in all the music. But thank you for listening to why R&B is such a great station, in my opinion. And thank you for listening to the history of R&B. And I really hope you learned something. It probably wasn't a lot, but hope you learned something and got something from it. Thank you.
I did notice something at the end of her remarks that reminded me of watching session 19. This is getting really deep in the weeds, but about at the 26-minute mark on session 19, when we are doing a playback for Emma's wildcard speech, all of a sudden it went out of sync just a little bit. You saw a little bit of that at the end of her presentation, it always reminds me to a certain degree of a movie that has been dubbed into another language and the lips don't quite match the language. It happened with me. There was a little glitch on Loom, and the same thing happened here. It's got no bearing on your grade. Occasionally, technology issues happen. If I don't bring it up, people aren't aware of it. But I think we're all, especially in classes like these, we're perfectionists. That's why we record so many takes and only submit for grades what we think is the best representation of our 4 speeches for each week. Closed captioning, transcript, recycle, watch the first 90 seconds, similar to what we were just doing with Mariah's persuasive effort. Does she come across in her wild card as more comfortable, not self-conscious at all? That's the advantage of watching yourself over and over again. If you're getting sick of watching yourself, it's probably a plus, because all of a sudden you can manipulate to your advantage how people are going to see you and perceive you by the way in which you're approaching all aspects of each graded speech. First 90 seconds, here we go.
Hi everyone, my name is Shakira Thompson. Presentation over the history of R&B. My favorite genre is R&B. It's my favorite station to listen to in general, whether it's old school. And I really don't like new school R&B, but old school R&B is my go-to. And I love to sit in the car or go on car rides and listen to it. Or I just like to sit there with my AirPods in and listen to it. And if I have my AirPods in, most likely I'm going to be listening to some kind of R&B. So, what does R&B stand for? R&B stands for rhythm and blues, and it was originally called race music, which is African American music that they used to send signals to each other back in the slave times, whether they were running away or just working. So, where did R&B come from? R&B originated from culture gospel music, and it's a combination of jazz, blues, and gospel. So, how R&B started? Louis Jordan, which is him up there, he is the one that started the rising of R&B by being a band leader and a saxophonist. And he composed the 1944 hit song "Is You or Is You Ain't My Baby." This is the most first popular R&B song that
90 seconds in, you'll notice right here where she says so. Oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this as well, it will be used as a filler word rather than a vocalic. But that's okay. Think about our first 2 speakers, one persuasive, Mariah, and Ms. Thompson. For wild card, I'm deferring because I'm still not sure exactly how to pronounce her first name, so I'm being extra careful. But are they speaking in complete sentences, which is the advantage to check out the transcript on Loom? And remember, in session 19, when we're looking at both Mariah and Emma, not only are they speaking in complete sentences, but it's also more of a paragraphing structure. Let's go to the final 90 seconds or so. We don't have to go too far because she ran just a little bit short of 4 minutes, but it's relatively close. Let's go back just a little bit here and watch it from here.
slavery time period. Now, most African American people are the ones that listen to R&B, and some people like it because it encourages their mood. They like the blues. That's the main one that people like to listen to, and it just makes them feel better. And some R&B songs have stories in them that people can relate to, and that's why R&B is one of the most popular genre in all the music. But thank you for listening to why R&B is such a great station, in my opinion. And thank you for listening to the history of R&B. And I really hope you learned something. It probably wasn't a lot, but hope you learned something and got something from it. Thank you.
I like how she really waits those 3 additional seconds before she pauses the recording. That is so nice and so helpful. Does her on-camera presence reflect nervousness? No. Does she come across as confident? Yes. Does she bring out the point, like her final slide, quote, "Why is R&B so important to Black culture?" Close quote. Absolutely. She did have a misspelling on an early slide, and we'll get to that. Her overall presence on camera, like Mariah, like Emma, like Marilyn, has vastly improved during the past 5 weeks. Very professional looking title slide. The attention to details matter. Then when we move on, what does it stand for? I'm willing to give her a mulligan for this. Rhythm is not the easiest word to spell. It is actually R-H-Y-T-H-M. But keep in mind, I also mentioned this with pronunciations of challenging terms in an online course. Always go online. If you're uncertain about spelling, go in, check online, drop and drag it if you have to into this particular slide. And then it's really just a matter of making certain that the color and the font style match, and you can insert it in without any issue. But there was a time, especially in the South, where it was called race music. And it was very difficult for African American artists, especially in the Jim Crow era, to get their music played on any radio station other than those that featured African American artists. Now we move on. How it got started with Louis Jordan. There are some of you, and we had a student from a couple of years ago that I showed you. Her style on camera, very similar to this, was Aubriana. It may have been last year. Things go by so quickly, but it was the evolution of The Sims 4. She also had a little bit of a wider shot. You'll notice on occasion, sometimes I might lean back. My tendency is to lean in when people are talking, but to be more formal, I would want to maybe sit straighter and to lean back. But in your case, if you feel more comfortable moving around, especially because so many of you are going to be giving an online presentation somewhere, it's okay to experiment and record in real time. The 1944 hit. And then she moves on to talk about genres. Now, keep in mind, she's not quite at 4 minutes. It probably won't affect her grade here, but just add one more slide. Or if you wanted to incorporate a video clip or an audio of hip hop, funk, jazz, classic, Latin, that would be appropriate for the topic. A 30 to 40 second clip gets you to close to 4.5 minutes. And it just gives you that ease in knowing, look, I've made the minimum time, I'm good. But here it's not going to make that much of a difference. Why it's important to Black culture? Popularized the idea of racial integration. And then we move on. Is that her final slide? It looks like it is. And we'll leave it there with a smile. Can we honestly say, with all of the items that are on the checklist for the SAU speech critique, and I've said it so many times, those 21 items, 7 each, in content and delivery and visuals, is there demonstrable improvement? Absolutely. Is it perfect? No. You did see on the closed captioning right here, there were a couple of ums, but those are issues, not errors. Issues that once you become aware of them can be corrected. Not going to be an issue, but just knowing about it now is going to be so helpful. Our final presentation, we're going to go back to Mariah. We have other issues to address, but the third and final speech that you have not seen to be included in the course summary, which includes leftover project and wrapping up the term, is Mariah's presentation that is a wildcard speech, and she is discussing Stardew Valley.
Hi, so today I'm going to be telling you guys about Stardew Valley. So first, what is Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley is a farming simulator with magical and romantic themes. It was created by creator Concerned Ape. You can go on Twitter and find his profile and find all sorts of information if you find yourself interested. You can get this game on the Switch, PC, PlayStations, and in some cases even your phone. So this is just the beginning cutscene. I'm not going to watch all of it. I will narrate it because there's not really any audio, but I'll skip through it and explain what's going on. So your grandfather is on his deathbed. He has called his family you there. In the game, you have pretty much full customization. You can be a boy or a girl. You can customize your hair, your name, the farm name, all kinds of information, and that's really important to remember. So basically, he's giving you this letter, telling you not to open it yet, and he's explaining why. He's saying one day there'll become a time where you're crushed by modern life. You need to get away. You need to start over somewhere. And when it happens, open this letter. And then how many ever years later you want it to be. But it cuts to you being in a Joja office space, which is very important for later. Remember their name. Keep in mind that everything's fully customizable for your character, so your character will look different. But if you look here, character is tired. He doesn't want to work there anymore. He doesn't want to experience this place anymore. And he remembers the letter he got from his grandfather. So I'll pause it so you guys can read it if you want to. But what it's saying basically is that his grandfather went through a similar thing and he needed a change and he needed to get away. And so he went to the farm. They named it Agent's Farm. You can name it whatever you want. But it's located in a place called Stardew Valley. And it's the perfect place to start over and start a new life. And then it cuts to you being on the bus on your way to Stardew Valley. And this is where you'll begin your new life as the farmer. You see, Stardew Valley. Now, here are some of the game goals. Here's like a master list of a lot of important things. But some of the goals vary from growing and selling all the crops, getting all the animals and their produce, getting all the way through both of the mines, organizing and setting up your farm, getting married, helping the Junimos, which are magical forest sprites. That's what these are right here. They're very adorable. And there's a couple of other ones. I don't want to spoil things in case anyone wants to play, but it's a very fun game. Vanilla Stardew itself, it's comforting, it's familiar. There's not a lot of extra things you can do. You have kind of the Adventurers Guild, which is just slaying monsters in this mines. You have your fruit trees, you have your colors are very vibrant and they're very beautiful. But then you have modded Stardew, which is my personal favorite. Now there are hundreds of mods on Nexus, and they can range from decor, like you see here. You have extra like hanging stuff, decals, bookshelves, plants, retexture some of the chairs. And this one you can see that there are more details on the crops. If you've never seen Stardew, you would know that these look completely different. And there's different UIs, which just changes the initial look of the game. There's also quests. There's expansion packs, so you can have more people. You can go to new towns. It's very cool. Modding itself has a lot of extra things you can do. But is it fun? If you like farming games that have romance and lean on magical influentials, then I'd say it's a lot of fun. It's a very interesting game. It has a lot of really cool things in it. This is the museum. You see it's color coordinated. Those are things that you'll find in the mines. And it's very fun. You get rewards. This is one of the houses. It's a mod, so you'd have to mod it for it to look like that. But there's a lot of customization in this game, and I'd say that makes it a lot of fun. And thank you guys for listening. I hope that this sparked your interest and that you can see that this is something that you might want to do. Thank you for listening again. I hope you have a great day.
We'll go back and watch this in just a moment. Obviously, the introduction and the conclusion. Thank you, Mariah. It's always fascinating for me to see some of the changes with the technology. Counting down from 5 minutes in Loom is a little bit different than it has been in past years. As you know, we always go into closed captioning. Watch the first 90 seconds, checking out the quality of the introduction, and most importantly, because this is the final presentation. Really, the wildcard speech, the fourth project, really serves almost as a final exam or a capstone project in a course like this. It may not be your best effort, but usually it's either the persuasive, number 3, or the wild card, number 4, which reflects your learning abilities in a public speaking course. Let's check it out.
Hi, so today I'm going to be telling you guys about Stardew Valley. So, first, what is Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley is a farming simulator with magical and romantic themes. It was created by creator Concerned Ape. You can go on Twitter and find his profile and find all sorts of information if you find yourself interested. You can get this game on the Switch, PC, PlayStations, and in some cases even your phone. So this is just the beginning cutscene. I'm not going to watch all of it. I will narrate it because there's not really any audio, but I'll skip through it and explain what's going on. So your grandfather is on his deathbed. He has called his family you there. In the game, you have pretty much full customization. You can be a boy or a girl. You can customize your hair, your name, the farm name, all kinds of information, and that's really important to remember. So basically, he's giving you this letter, telling you not to open it yet, and he's explaining why. He's saying one day there'll become a time where you're crushed by modern life. You need to get away. You need to start over somewhere. And when it happens, open this letter. And then how many ever years later you want it to be. But it cuts to you being in a Joja office space, which is...
When you are talking about a subject like this, obviously it's a little bit informing and a little bit persuading, like what we just saw with Ms. Thompson's presentation. So you have to put it into a context that people can understand. Playing the video and narrating over it is a really nice touch. It also, as I had indicated before, if she had wanted to do that during the R&B speech prior to this, it would have been appropriate to help fill the time. In her case, she's narrating over it. And by the way, directly underneath, you can see the sharing element that is on her screen. So all she would have to do if Mariah gives presentations on Loom in the future is just to hide that. As I always say, it has no bearing on your grade, but those are the little things that you learn as time goes on. All 3 speeches during this course summary, the speakers have spoken in complete sentences or paragraph structure. You can see that above my head. Let's pause this. She's roughly about 2 minutes away from the conclusion, so let's move on to about the last 90 seconds, as we always do, because you want to end the speech on a high note, showing off your professionalism with your verbal acuity. How does Mariah do it? Let's see.
Beautiful. But then you have modded Stardew, which is my personal favorite. Now there are hundreds of mods on Nexus, and they can range from decor, like you see here. You have extra like hanging stuff, decals, bookshelves, plants, retexture some of the chairs. In this one, you can see that there are more details on the crops. If you've never seen Stardew, you would know that these look completely different. And there's different UIs, which just changes the initial look of the game. There's also quests. There's expansion packs, so you can have more people. You can go to new towns. It's very cool. Modding itself has a lot of extra things you can do. But is it fun? If you like farming games that have romance and lean on magical influentials, then I'd say it's a lot of fun. It's a very interesting game. It has a lot of really cool things in it. This is the museum. You see it's color coordinated. Those are things that you'll find in the mines. And it's very fun. You get rewards. This is one of the houses. It's a mod, so you'd have to mod it for it to look like that. But there's a lot of customization in this game, and I'd say that makes it a lot of fun. And thank you guys for listening. I hope that this sparked your interest and that you can see that this is something that you might want to do. Thank you for listening again. I hope you have a great day.
So she wraps that up nicely. And I was lucky. I caught a smile. Are there, like with the R&B speech, some issues with delivery? There's some uhs in there and a couple of gonas, but I always say they're not errors, they're issues. Once you become aware of them, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you will get sick watching these videos. I can critique myself in real time and think, I would like everything to be smooth, but on occasion I will hit a clunker. I've already had a couple of them in my mind. And when that happens, you just have to keep on going. If I feel that what I am doing is more than 90% effective in the same way that probably you think in a course like this, that's going to work. Let's check out her design consistency with the slides. Stardew Valley. What is it? Headline, 3 bullet points, image of the game to help the uninitiated visualize what it's like. Now it's her responsibility to discuss the relevance of it for her and the importance of it to be discussed to you, the audience. Let's mute the audio, put the closed captioning back up, play this in real time, and check her narration. Looking at the webcam, is she being extemporaneous while she is discussing bits and pieces of what the Stardew Valley video indicates? For Ms. Thompson, the came up UMM. In Mariah's case, you'll notice in the black and white closed captioning, it came up as UHM. Now that's her cursor trying to discuss the relevance of the topic, and she does a good job. That's not easy, trying to do 2 or 3 things at once. We'll take that back off, pause it. Now just move ahead to what else she had with her slides. That's still with the video. Her description of it, transitioning back. There we go, starting out. That is a slide with a screen grab. Game goals, all kinds of material here to help fill the time. Very well done. Lots of bullet points, image. You never know how you're going to sound until you start to record. You can have 3 different versions of this on Loom. They will be equally effective, and you're going to be focusing on 3 different items at all times. Vanilla Stardew, modding, always sneak a peek, bottom left-hand corner, look at her concentration, same slide, her location in the webcam has changed just a little bit. Is it fun? And it looks like that is her final slide. Try to get a smile. Something close in the last few seconds. And that's it. So we have seen 2 wildcard speeches, 1 persuasive speech. Now we're going to move on to a self-evaluation speech critique. It is from Mariah. I wanted to show the title slide as a transition as we move on to the self-evaluation speech critique. Here is what she has to say to conclude the course. Mariah's self-evaluation speech critique. Quote, I have always been a nervous speaker. Even back in middle school, I messed up a lot on my first speech, and I think that really stuck with me. I would get nervous and not keep good eye contact, mostly because I didn't want to trip over my words. It happens to all of us. I used a lot of placeholder words such as and I call them vocalics. Technically, in a speech textbook, it would be called a vocalized pause. Those are problems I still have. However, I think this course helped me a lot in working towards being more confident in my speech giving. I was nervous about putting too many visuals in my slides, so I refrained from doing so until my wildcard speech. I think adding more videos would have made a bigger impact on some of my points. And I think that's true for everyone. That time cushion just makes you feel so more comfortable. Since taking this course, I will say I feel more confident in my speech giving. I can hold eye contact better. I don't stumble over my words as much. I don't have as many placeholder words either, which I didn't even notice slowly fixing itself, and that will happen in time. I feel as though I really improved my speech giving a lot. I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own, and even doing an in-person class may have been too difficult for me. Doing this online and being able to correct my mistakes to get a final product I could be proud of helped me most. Think about what Mariah just said in comparison to what one of her classmates said, Marilyn, in session 19. Very thoughtful. As I always say, doing something like this online, one benefit is rather than being face-to-face, you get a chance to do over. But with that in mind, I have been teaching, see, the same thing happened to me right there. I have been teaching the basic public speaking course for many years. Almost always a section in the summer. Let's go back in the archives to the second summer session 30 years ago. This is from 1994. The person that you are going to see on the screen, and I will post it once it's ready. I have a lot of tabs open. The person that you are going to see on camera is Andre Muljotti. I talked about this at an academic conference in 1996, but as you can see, I say here, an informative speech in SPCH 1113 Principles of Speech, Summer 2, 1994, at Southern Arkansas University, taught by James Reppert. It is the first interactive presentation in a section of Reppert's basic course at SAU. I just wanted to show you how someone who literally graduated at the end of the second summer session because he was an international student, wanted to improve his conversational English skills. He earned an A in the course, but he also did something that you take for granted today. He's in a face-to-face course in Overstreet Hall. Now I'm on the third floor in an interactive classroom. This was on the first floor, and the interactivity that we had came from a TV VCR unit. He brought in a computer, and you're going to see what it was like in this class 30 years ago. To me, it seems like yesterday, but the information superhighway, which is his topic, is what you now know as the internet. Let's watch the first 2 minutes of Andre's speech. We'll make it full screen, and then watch the last 2 minutes. Here it is.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to discuss about the information superhighway. As maybe some of you still remember that Mr. Reppert mentioned that information superhighway. So, do you think maybe any of you have some idea what is on earth is he talking about, information superhighway? But anyway, today I'm going to discuss about it. The information superhighway is actually a media where they're going to use it in the future to transmit all computer information, telephones, video signal, data transmission into the single optical cable. And it's not far away from here. Like actually the Southwestern Bell in Texas and Arkansas area already installed the optical cable to several residential area. And the information superhighway basically connecting one computer to the other computer on all around the place. And with information superhighway, you don't have to pay like long distance fee to connect from University of Michigan to Southern Arkansas University. If you have to pick any news or campus news. Okay, and let's go to the next screen here. Okay. By the year 2000, the government of the United States already projected that most of the country, especially the leading country, will be connected with the place called internet. And
so that's the first 2 minutes of his speech. You'll notice that the technology at the time, because I was recording all graded speeches on videotape, demonstrative, informative, persuasive, and we would wrap up courses at that time, not with wildcard speeches, but because we were face-to-face with group discussions. The video on my camcorder did not sync with the video on the computer. That's why you have that blurriness. But now let's go to the last 2 minutes, put the closed captioning up, Is Andre speaking incomplete sentences? And by the way, there is a Nostradamus-like quality to this presentation, because what you're doing today with interactivity and the internet 30 years ago was on the verge of happening. Did everything come to fruition? Now keep in mind, in all of these courses, the content, the delivery, the visuals are just going to be evaluated slightly differently, but he's still, considering the fact that he has so many different things to do, is very effective. Here is his conclusion.
Of the future. Okay, the last one is the telemedicine. Telemedicine is being developed by AT&T right now. For example, if Magnolia don't have a hospital, what they can do is they can, if a patient has a heart attack, they can just bring the patient to the certain room, and this room is equipped with a computer, and they can just connect some sensor to the body, and they can do some diagnostic, and then there will be a nurse, and the computer will connect to Heart Institute in New York City, and there will be heart specialized. The doctor specializes in the heart problem, and they will find out what's the problem with this patient. The doctor will find out what is the heartbeat, what is the blood pressure currently they have, and currently the patient have, and okay, it's pretty neat things in there. And the last thing, in my conclusion, actually, since we run out of time, actually the internet is something that you can avoid. It's here already. So I'll suggest maybe some of you to get some reference and some reading about the internet. And also, internet will be something like pretty big, it will do pretty big impact in humankind. And in back like maybe 20 years ago, something like telephones. So telephone, maybe last time, maybe not many people thought that it will be the future of a telephone as we learn today, but internet will be the same thing too. We will never know what the internet will do in the next 20 years. So what I suggest is just get ready with it, and that's all my presentation for today.
I'm going to leave it full screen for just a moment, because Andre shows you that whether you're in a face-to-face class using computer technology, and he was the first, or what you're doing today in an online circumstance, the fundamentals of being a quality public speaker do not change. You have to address the audience, you have to engage the audience, you have to be credible with your sources. Now think about the speeches that we looked at in session 19. Kadaya, Emma, Marilyn, and what we have seen here from Ms. Thompson, I'm still being careful, and from Mariah. They're all equally effective, but in different ways, because online, your methodology toward delivery is going to be a little bit different, where you are addressing a webcam other than a face-to-face course where you're addressing an audience. Andre was a business major. Right after he completed this course, which again was summer 2 of 1994, he graduated from Southern Arkansas University. He uses his public speaking skills to this day, and we have kept in touch. Let me show you what Andre Muljadi, 30 years ago, for his presentation, Artificial Intelligence, Breaking It Down. What is Andre doing in 2024? Many of you, regardless of your major, at some point are going to have a LinkedIn account. Andre and I are connected on LinkedIn. His visual next to his portrait shows you what he does. He is a marketing professional. Let's take a look and he's based in Thailand, Indochina, and Indonesia. But let's scroll down. Look at all of the experiences that he has had in the business industry. You have to be a quality communicator in all of these, including sales and marketing and planning and development. But look at his education. Immediately after graduating from SAU, he went to the University of Dallas, got an MBA, and has been working back home in Asia ever since, with his degree from Southern Arkansas University in August 1994, after he completed courses, including the basic public speaking course. So there he is, working in a variety of business enterprises, as you can see right here. But I wanted to conclude the term on a happy note. Also, looking into the archives. Now, what you just saw from Andre was from summer 2, 1994, showing that you can be very effective in 5 weeks. Now we're going back to the summer of 1998. Same classroom. But this is going to be from a demonstrative speech, and I have to get the time just right here. It recycled on me, so that's why you were looking at Andre a little bit longer. A demonstrative speech, the topic being percussion rhythms. I have the notes right here, so I'm cheating a little bit. Percussion rhythms from the summer of 1998. And as you can see, just like with 1996 with Andre, I showed that at an academic conference. I did the same thing later on during the year at an academic conference. But this was the first course project that students did, a demonstrative speech. This is the last 4 minutes of the speech by Michael Carey. And I wanted to show it for this reason. If you're in a face-to-face class or if you're in an online circumstance, you want to be entertaining, depending upon what your subject matter is. And what Michael does here, which is very clever, is he incorporates members of the audience into different percussion rhythms. The last 4 minutes of his speech, quite musical. Here it is.
Today, you hold it like that when it usually comes out with a string, and you hold it. And sometimes you'll get the new beats today, you usually just hit it like that and you get a sound. But in our modern day, they've, those in rock bands or groups, put a choke on it, so it's like that, you just deaden the sound. I need someone to play triangle. I'd like to do that. You can come play triangle. All right. This big ugly thing over here is the bass drum, and it's just a loud, low, deep tone sound. And when you hit it, it's just real low. And this is a marching bass drum. Bass drum can range from very small to very large. So I need someone to come play bass drum. By the way, this was the heartbeat of the last fall. Anyways, I need someone to play with the A. You can come up here first. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the rhythms that I showed you, and we're going to play together as a class. I want this half of the classroom to clap a beat for me. All it is in 4/4 time. All it is clap, 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 clap. Clap with me. I do. There you go. Keep that going. Shannon needs to play straight beats. Just straight beats.
1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. Okay.
There you go. Just keep that going. Claps. There you go. Shakers, I need to shake with the beat. Traditional grip. Traditional grip. I was playing match earlier, but this is a traditional grip. This is what they do in the four-stop marching band. Let's give it to you. That's my speech. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Very nice way to wrap up this class with 2 examples from the archives, but it shows you that whether it's a demonstrative speech from Michael, an informative speech from Andre, any of the 4 presentations that you gave in this class, whether we are face-to-face in 1994 or 1998 or online in 2024, you have to be personable, you have to do the research, you have to practice. That's what's going to make you, in the long run, in addition to the self-awareness, a quality public speaker. I have 2 more bits of interactivity. The first is going to my website. And I have to be careful here because some of this is recycling because I have so many items up on the screen. So I won't scroll through it, but I will show it to you. This is my website. The link was available at Blackboard Ultra, even though you no longer have access to it. I'm going to go back to the student preview mode in just a moment. But everything that you have done is not only on my YouTube channel, but it is also, when you scroll into this window, examples of speeches are there, and everything from the 19 class sessions, the course overview, and now the course summary will be posted there. If you're ever interested in my positive commentary, and I always believe in positivity, because the only way that you can really mess up in a course like this is by not practicing or just by not having a lot of self-confidence. But I feel like I give you a lot of those tools along the way for long-term success. So check the website out. The last area we will go to for the semester is, even though you're locked out, the student preview mode of Blackboard Ultra. I showed you at the beginning of this class session current examples of student speech videos that are on my YouTube channel. We have 2 demonstrative, 2 informative, 2 persuasive, 2 wild cards, all showing the progress of your classmates, Emma and Marilyn. Here at the syllabus area, I wanted to remind you about the 100 points in the course. And scrolling down to the point allocations one final time. With 20 points for each of the 4 speeches: demonstrative, informative, persuasive, and wild card, with the self-evaluation speech critique and the class participation adding up to a total of 100 points. Then, with the grade book, I can tell you that we're going to do well grade-wise in this course. With grades due to the registrar, I'm still looking at I have a lot of tabs on the screen, at my email from Southern Arkansas University. If I receive something that still may be a leftover speech or a self-evaluation speech critique, please let me know, because I don't want to penalize anyone for not turning in material. That's why we added the course summary to this class, primarily because with leftover projects or my commentary wrapping up this particular section, we want to end on a high note. And that's why for all of the materials that you've worked on, for materials in the archive that we just watched, you can see improvement in the level of persuasibility or informing or demonstrating or wild card, all of the elements that we have discussed. So let me say 2 things in conclusion. Good luck in your respective academic careers, and whenever you are preparing a speech, whether it be in a personal sense, off campus, whether it's for a class, always take these commentaries in mind, not only from my YouTube channel, but also examine some of the materials that are available in real life that you might be able to pick up from a speaker that you admire. And don't be afraid to emulate that in either your academic or professional lives. As for SPCH 1113, Introduction to Public Speaking, for the first summer session of 2024, that concludes the course summary, and I hope all of you are going to do well in your personal and professional lives, and of course, not only 1001, 1002, 1003, but I will end with this. No vocalics.